जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट देव विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी जगत गुरु शीला प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON and Bibri founder Acharya, Savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Leela Pravishta Javam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Sadasri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। रामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। व्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। द्वारकापुरी धाम की जय। अयोध्यापुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ISKCON वर्तमान आचार्य वृंद की जय। निताय निताय गौर सीतानाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि 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 बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories Srila Prabhupada Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desha Tarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणे परमानंद माधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, verse number 67, which is on the whiteboard. And the chapter is entitled, you have the book? This chapter is entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachina Barhi. अदृष्टम अश्रुतम चात्र क्वचिन्मनसि दृश्यते यथा तथानुमन्तव्यम् देश काल क्रियाश्रयम्। अदृष्टम अश्रुतम चात्र क्वचिन् मनसि दृश्यते यथा तथानुमन्तव्यम् देश काल क्रियाश्रयम्। अदृष्टम् अश्रुतं चात्र क्वचिन् मनसि दृश्यते यथा तथानुमन्तव्यम् देश काल क्रियाश्रयम्। Someone else? One of you. This is a class. You got to learn how to chant shlokas. Opportunity. Mothers, Vaishnavis. Someone else? Thank you. Adrishtam, never experienced. Ashrutam, never heard. Cha, and atra, in this life. Kvachit, at some time. Manasi, in the mind. Drishyate, is visible. Yatha, as. Tatha, accordingly. Anumantavyam, to be understood. Desha, place. Kala, time. Kriya, activity. Ashrayam, depending on. These are synonyms, the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness and the primeval Shiksha and the primary Shiksha Guru for all of us. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sometimes, can you repeat after me? Sometimes, in a dream, we see something never experienced or heard of in this life. But all these incidents have been experienced at different times, in different places, and in different conditions. Can we listen to the purport by His Divine Grace? In the previous verse, it was explained that in dreams, we see that which was experienced during the day. But why is it that we sometimes in our dreams see what we have never heard of or seen at any time during this life? Here, it is stated that even though such events may not be experienced in this life, they were experienced in previous lives. According to time and circumstance, they combine So that in dreams we see something wonderful that we have never experienced. For instance, we may see an ocean on the peak of a mountain. Or we may see that the ocean has dried up. These are simply combinations of different experiences in time and space. Sometimes we may see a golden mountain. And this is due to our having experienced gold and mountains separately. In the dream, under illusion, we combine these separate factors. In this way, we are able to see golden mountains or stars during the day. The conclusion is that these are all mental concoctions, although they have actually been experienced in different circumstances. They have simply combined together in a dream. This fact is further explained in the following verse, which is text 68. Srila Prabhupada ki. I seek the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas and the prayers of all the other Vaishnavas that I could present the purports by our Gaudiya Acharyas with complete chastity for your pleasure and for my purification. Hare Krishna. Das Raghunath Prabhu, you could alert me if I am going fast at some point of time. And thank you for taking up the responsibility. In the previous verse, Srila Prabhupada starts the purport by stating that in dreams we see that which was experienced during the day. So the obvious question is, we see in our dream many things that we have experienced during the day. So the obvious question that happens here, or is raised here, is that why is it that we sometimes in our dreams see events that we have never experienced in this life, in daytime or otherwise? What is mentioned here is that though they were not experienced in this life, they were experienced in a previous life or in previous lives. So we learned that the mind is a storehouse of thoughts, desires, and experiences. It simply stores those experiences. And in a dream, they combine together due to a mental concoction, which is the word that Srila Prabhupada uses, the phrase, mental concoction. This is very unique to Srila Prabhupada. You would not find it in many other global literatures. Mental concoction. Like yesterday I heard from my friend Madhungal Prabhu that he quoted the verse of the Avanti Brahmana, where it says that Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu na devadatma graha karma kala mana param karanam amananti samsara chakram pariharti etad. The Avanti Brahmana was suffering so much. His own people had left him. They had thrown him out of the house. People were doing all kind of nasty things with him. They were urinating on the food he was trying to eat. They were tying him up and beating up. Children were trying to throw stones at him. You name it. He was facing all these difficulties. He gradually starts meditating, and what is mentioned as the song of the Avanti Brahmana is a very powerful prayer. Those of you who are in the habit of memorizing prayers, these are some very powerful prayers to memorize. So the Avanti Brahmana says that all the difficulties and everything that I'm going through right now, some of these experiences, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu, my sukha and dukkha, my pleasure and pain, are not due to either my people or those who are not my people. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu. Sometimes it's due to our own people that we get hurt. Sometimes it's due to people we don't like that we get hurt. Or sometimes our own people give us a lot of pleasure many times. And sometimes those we don't like may even give us pleasure in a different way. So Avanti Brahmana says it is not, Nayam Janome, these are not these people. Sukha Dukkha Hetu, they are not the cause of this pleasure and pain. Na Devat Atma Graha Karma Kala, they are not the demigods. Nor are they planets like Rahu, Ketu or any of those. Karma, it is not even karma that is the cause of all that I am facing. Not time, Kala. So what is he saying? Manah param karanamamananti. It is the mind which is the primary reason, the topmost reason. And because of that, what is he saying? Samsara chakram parihartet. The whole cycle of this samsara is running around. So we understand therefore that the mind can therefore concoct things. It's very powerful. It can give us experiences that we want, and it can give us experiences that we don't want. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that according to time and place and circumstance, the events that we have experienced in our life or experienced in previous lives, they combine together so that in a dream, we may see something that is very wonderful. We may have seen gold, we may have seen a mountain. But in our dream, they combine together to give the image of a golden mountain. Srila Prabhupada often quotes this example. It is also mentioned about other incidents like the ocean on the top of a mountain or an ocean having dried up. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned that these are simply combinations of time and space. Let's look at a few examples that the Acharyas mention. Just give me 30 seconds. Yeah. Whatever form appears is dependent on time, place and circumstance. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says, if we see a dream of say an ocean on top of a mountain, that is because we have seen such things in a particular place. If we see stars in the daylight, it is based on the experience of having seen stars at night. There is a time. So one is a place, one is a time. And suppose somebody is taking a massage in a dream, or in real life he takes it. These such events result in a similar dream, which is an action. An action performed during the day or elsewhere causes a dream like this. So time, place and action, they are the ones on whom whatever form appears is dependent. Of course, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also says that we may have an illusory dream of our head being cut off. I don't know how many of us have had a dream of our head being cut off. I hope not. But assume such a thing comes up. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that this is because of the disturbance of the dhatus. So there could be many reasons because of which forms appear. So the mind needs therefore to be educated on what to project and what not to project. Because it projects whatever experiences it has had. In Manas Shiksha, the very first prayer, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami says, "Oh my dear brother mind, I am very humbly grabbing hold of your 2 feet by speaking sweet words." Now, we don't know how we can grab the feet of the mind, but we are assuming if Raghunath Das Goswami says, then it is possible. He is speaking these very sweet words. He is saying that you should develop unprecedented and unpretentious. Unprecedented means that which has never been there before. Unpretentious meaning without any hypocrisy, no duplicitousness. You should develop such affection for Guru, Vrajavasis, Vraja, Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, and for the Gayatri and Gopal mantras that you have received, and for Sri Harinam, and for the beautiful divine couple, Shri Shri Radha Parthasarathi ki. If we develop such unprecedented, unpretentious affection for all these, then we will be able to give up all other forms of pretentious love through the mind. The mind develops pretentious affection and love for various things. Those can be given up only, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami says, by developing unprecedented, unpretentious attachment for Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Vrajavasis, mantras that we get, and the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This way, we will be able to educate the mind. Remember hearing from a lecture of Srila Bhakti Vishrambha Madhav Swami Maharaj, and I think I've quoted this here sometime, that often people ask us when we are preaching or we are meeting them in the temple, how does one control the mind? How does one control the mind? Especially when chanting, it wanders. So he gave a very simple answer which he got from a senior Vaishnava in Vrindavan. He said, chant louder than the mind. Chant louder than the mind. If the mind is disturbing you, then chant louder than the mind. And if the mind is disturbing you at any point of time, chant louder than the mind. Any form or any vishaya disturbs you, chant louder than the mind. Srila Bhaktitir Damodar Maharaj once told me that if sense objects are disturbing the senses, they are like the body and the senses are like shadow. The real substance is the soul and the consciousness. So if you cleanse the consciousness and the mind, it is a good idea to withdraw your senses from sense objects like a tortoise does. Kurmanga niva, the Supreme Lord says in Bhagavad Gita. But it is far more important. The horses may be going astray. You can't just try to control the horses by yourself. What do? How do you control the horses? By the reins. As per the scripture, what are the reins compared to? The mind. So therefore, it is essential that we focus on the mind. Externally, maybe the senses will keep remaining disturbed. But there will come a time when we keep educating the mind and we keep working on the mind, that the senses will be able to be controlled. And Srila Raghunath Das Goswami says, for always remembering Vraja, which is along with the divine couple, remember the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Sometimes during japa, it's a very powerful prayer. If we chant, Shirup Shi Shanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Srijiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, E Chahai Goshair Kari Charana Vandan, Jahoite Vignanash Abhishta Puran. All our obstacles will be destroyed and our spiritual abhishta, our spiritual desires will be fulfilled. So we are to take shelter of the 6 Goswamis. And Srila Raghunath Das Goswami says, give up the prostitute of material topics. This is one reason where our mind creates these kind of concoctions. We have the prostitute of material topics. Somehow we should stop discussing these. And these take away the treasure of the mind and intelligence. What is the treasure of the mind and intelligence? It is anything that is related to the divine couple. That should be in our mind and our intelligence. Mayar pita mano buddhir mame vaishyata samshayaha. When we are offering our mind and intelligence to the Supreme Lord and fight for Krishna, that is our battle. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, always. Mam anusmara yudhyacha, by remembering me, along with remembering me, you fight. And then what happens? The mind and intelligence are for Krishna. So, but if the mind and intelligence are instead on material topics, then they take away the treasure of the mind and the intelligence. So, in our Sankirtan movement, one of the strengths of staying in a brahmacharya ashram or for the householders, the strength of staying in a grihastha ashram is that each ashram vasi or each resident of the ashram should help each other. When the other person gets into a material topic, one should immediately strike and help the person, saying, Prabhu, I think we are deviating. Prabhu, we are getting into Gramya Katha. We should be able to help each other out. Because it's based on experiences of several births. It's not easy to stop discussing material topics. And in this birth also, we have spent so much time in the material world. Only very few people here would have actually spent more time inside ISKCON than outside. Very few people. Maybe like His Grace Yadukleshwar Prabhu, His Grace Jitamitra Prabhu, His Grace Mohanrupa Prabhu. Some of them I've just seen. If you take their actual age when they joined ISKCON and the number of years they have spent in ISKCON, it's practically equal. So it's, in some cases, it's even more. The amount of time that is spent in the spiritual life, so to say. So our conditioning is so heavy. So there is air conditioning for this weather. So there is also mind conditioning that is happening. And just like an air conditioning means that you are stuck in a certain temperature for some time. Similarly, the mind conditions us to be stuck in a certain form or an image or a thought. Therefore, it is mentioned that we should give up the prostitute of material topics. Raghunath Das Goswami says, don't even hear talks of the tigress of liberation. It may be very tempting to talk about mukti. Such topics will devour the soul. Devour the soul, just imagine. We heard of Atmaha in scriptures, in Ishopanishad and Bhagavatam. But this saying that these topics will devour this soul. They will eat the soul. So he says, therefore, just worship Radha Krishna. That's what we have to do. That is why Ambarish Maharaj talks first about the mind. Have you observed? Ambarish Maharaj talks about how each limb has to be used in Krishna's service. But he starts by saying, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vendyo. That's where it starts. So the mind should be deposited at the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. We mentioned this in a previous class also. There is an organization, a charitable Christian organization called Salvation Army. Their motto is heart to God, hand to man. Heart to God. You can give hand to man, you can help, that's fine. But heart to God. Of course, most people don't understand the difference between heart and mind. So we should at least understand that for the time being, for us, it's more important to at least put mind. Just to worship Radha and Krishna. And Srila Raghunath Das Goswami uses the word, this is very, very, very heavy. Swapacha Ramani. Swapacha Ramani. Swapacha Ramani means a beautiful lady, but who's a dog eater. A dog eating beautiful lady. Now what does she represent? The desire for fame. So in our dreams, sometimes Prabhupada says that you are crowned as a king. So even in our dream, we have desire for fame. It's coming from this desire for fame. Shwapacha Ramani or a Dakini, she's a witch. To overcome this, Raghunath Das Goswami is saying that take shelter of Sri Guru, the leader of those who are dear to the Lord. The leader of those who are dear to the Lord. That is Guru. Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru. And this will help us kick out the untouchable woman of desire for fame. I mean, untouchable has nothing to do with birth. Untouchable means that which should not be touched. We can look at it like that. So, untouchable woman of fame. Don't look at that. And that appears to, if the Matajis want to feel a little better, they can look at it. Don't touch the untouchable dog-eater man of fame. But the principle is the same. That fame, the desire for fame, that has to be kicked out. And how can that be kicked out? By taking shelter of Sri Guru. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions, and I've quoted this, I personally have quoted this several times, I heard this from His Grace Mohanrupa Prabhu, that Only 100% subordination to the words of the spiritual master can save us from the burden of material sense enjoyment. Please note the word burden of material sense enjoyment. It's a burden. We think it is enjoyable. It's a big burden. Sense enjoyment. Desire for sense enjoyment. How is that overcome? Only if you have 100% subordination to the words of spiritual master. Now what does this mean for sadhakas, especially struggling sadhakas? This means that if we don't have 100% and we have only 90% subordination, then we will have at least 10% desire for material attachment, if not more. So commensurate with the level of our subordination to the spiritual master's lotus feet and his instructions, we will have desire for fame or otherwise. Prahlad Maharaj is praying to the Supreme Lord Narasimha. What is he praying? He says that this is a very, very famous verse where he says that you please take away the material desires from my heart. Bhavatastu vrine varam. He says, this is the only benediction that I want. Yati dasyasi me kaman varam stvam varadarshapa. If you want to bestow on me any desire, O granter of benediction, varadarshapa, greatest among the granter of benediction. Varada means one who gives benediction. Varadarshapa or Varada Raja, that is Narasimha. Varadarshapa. What did he say? What does he say further? He says, Kamanam hridya asamruham bhavadastu vranivaram. Let there be no material desire in my heart. That should be the prayer. So it is not that because there are sense objects, the mind gets polluted. We can safely assume that the senses are given up at death. But the mind remains at death and carries the spirit soul to the next body. So the mind is a tougher nut to crack. So therefore, when we say that Kamanam hrityasam ruham, we should pray to the Supreme Lord and take shelter of Guru, because sometimes the Supreme Lord may fulfill our desires in a way that we will not be able to handle. Especially when you pray to Narasimha, we have to think 10 times how he will perform surgery. So it's a safe bet that we have to take shelter of Sri Guru and his instructions. That's something we have to do. Then the Guru will kick out personally. So one is taking shelter of Sri Guru. Now the other point. Okay, there are some desires coming in the form of dreams which are manifesting. But sometimes newer desires and dreams, they keep coming. After you have addressed a few issues, new desires, they come. Just when you thought that you have addressed a particular anartha in your life, the same anartha may come in a different form before you. I heard this from a senior Vaishnavi in Vrindavan. Just when you thought you got it covered, it comes in another form. And a new desire may also come. And a new dream will therefore come. Because they are dormant in our heart, in our mind. Mind is a storehouse of desires. So it is stored in our mind. Srila Vishwanath Thakur says that let's take the mercy of Sri Krishna. Mother Yashoda could see the whole cosmic manifestation in her mouth, lotus mouth. How? By the grace of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And immediately he withdrew that opulence also, just when she was. So because of the grace of the Supreme Lord, Mother Yashoda could witness the entire cosmic manifestation. We may not get the perception of Rahu, the planet. There is this pastime of devotees walking with Srila Prabhupada. Then Srila Prabhupada, somebody asked him, that star that is glittering there at night somewhere there next to the moon, is that Rahu? So Srila Prabhupada said, I don't know. Why do you believe your eyes so much? Why do you believe your eyes so much? So perception. Our perception cannot see many objects. So for example, it is Rahu. We will not be able to perceive Rahu. But when there is an eclipse, in conjoined situation with the moon, we can get the perception of Rahu. Rahu is conjoined with the moon during an eclipse. Then we can understand the presence of Rahu. Quite similarly, when a devotee is Krishna conscious, the Supreme Lord, by His grace, makes him understand what are his desires. He can make him perceive the desires that he has. Okay, he is perceived. Now what? And he can eradicate them completely. The grace of the Supreme Lord can, just like by His grace, Mother Yashoda could see the cosmic manifestation. By the grace of Sri Radha Padasarthi, Gaurnita, Sitaram Lakshmana, Hanuman, Narasimha Dev, Venkateshwara, Balaji, we can actually perceive the dormant desires in our mind, and they will eradicate them. By their grace it is possible. Why is it required for us to state this very simple point, that by God's grace everything is possible? Why? Who can say? Why is it so required that when you say Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya? Why? Why is it required? Sorry? Because we are? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay. No, the question is something else. The question is that why is it that we are stating this fact that our desires are still coming? We are struggling sadhakas. Why do we have to keep telling you that take shelter of the Lord, take shelter of the Lord, take shelter of the Lord? Why do you have to keep telling? Yeah, we simply forgotten, that's all. We keep forgetting. Mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. We completed Purushottam Mass yesterday. 15th chapter, 15th verse. Sarvasya cha aham san hriddhi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I give remembrance and forgetfulness. Why Krishna will simply give you forgetfulness to make him forget him? We have desire to forget Krishna. Krishna says, okay, fine, forget. There in the mind. Krishna caters to that desire also. Look how merciful the Lord is. He is giving us the freedom to forget Him also. How many mothers here will give the freedom to their children to forget them? All of you are making garlands or listening to Bhagavatam. Will you allow your children to forget you? Will you give them permission? Look at the Supreme Lord. He's given us freedom. He loves us so much that, your desire to forget me, my dear child, is more important for me than my desire that you should remember me. And we are misusing that freedom. Like Prabhupada says, rascal, but you've forgotten. Shvachinam Srimatam Gehe. Even if you mess up devotion, you get a chance to be born in a good family. And then Prabhupada says, but rascal, you don't make use of the opportunity. You're given an opportunity, then you forget. Otherwise, we will think, why is it that rich people don't take to devotion? We have to do so much VIP cultivation to get them to come to the temple, rich or influential people. Because they don't make use of that opportunity. And we have to give them that opportunity. And for ourselves, we get the opportunity by the help of senior Vaishnavas who are helping us remember, so that we may not forget. They are there to remind us all the time. There is a very important word in this. It says, Anumantavyam. This is to be understood. Anumantavyam. But Anumantavyam has a similar sounding word called Anumana. Which is what? What is Anumana? Speculation. Speculative knowledge. Pratyaksha and Anumana. You're conceiving of something. See, that is one way. But do we have to follow as per our anumana? No. We have to follow as anugatya, not anumana. As anugatya. Because dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. Mahajano yena gatasya panta. Tarka pratishto shrutya vibhinam naso munistasa matam na bhinnam. There are no munis or rishis if they don't disagree with one another. Especially on the absolute truth. But dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam, the topmost, most confidential knowledge. How is it revealed? Mahajano yena gatasya panta. It has to be by anugatyam, sankatagat sato vrittehe. It is by following the footsteps of these people. Srila Sridhar Swami mentions that in a pure mind, all the objects of Vishaya are revealed, like a yogic direct perception. In a pure mind, all the objects of Vishaya are revealed. So he will know what is material desire and what is not material desire. Like Vyasdev could see when he was meditating, the Supreme Lord with all his energies, internal, external, everyone. Quite similarly, in a pure heart, the Supreme Lord will reveal the knowledge. Jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna doesn't give only apohanam. He also gives the jnanam, how to come to him. And the more our bhajan is active and in his service, tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. One, it is priti purvakam, and two, it has to be satata yuktanam. Both are important. Then Krishna will give the intelligence to come to him. He will show us the way. This is your material desire, my child. This is your spiritual desire. You have to choose the spiritual desire, my child. Please choose this. Here it's mentioned that by Krishna's mercy, one's entire stock of karma can be revealed. Entire stock of karma, whatever karma one has, can be revealed. And by his grace, only this karma, along with all future transmigrations, because when we have a mental concoction of a desire, we perform a certain action. And by this action, we form the next body. Yastvindra gopa matavendra maho swakarma bandhana rupa phalabhajana matanoti karmadi nirdahati kintuja bhakti bhajam. This karma can be burnt only by bhakti. Krishna will show us what is our karma, and then Krishna will tell us how to perform the devotion by when we take shelter of the bona fide Guru, how to follow. Narad Muni, who is the bona fide Guru, is telling King Prachina Parishad that one's current mental state indicates both, especially one's current state indicates the previous birth, how it was, and it also indicates the future births. What is the future birth that is going to come? Srila Prabhupada says the face is the index of the mind. Face will also show somebody's consciousness. This is very important. Sometimes we see in Brahmacharya ashram also, or in Grihastha ashram, we can see the people's faces and see the index of them and where their consciousness is. And we can see our own faces on the mirror, in the mirror, and see where our consciousness is sometimes. So the mind stores experiences from the current and past lives. Therefore, aspiring devotees, this is the take home for us. Aspiring devotees should fill their minds with loving thoughts of Krishna. Try to keep filling. One way of emptying dirty water from a glass is to keep pouring clean water. Keep pouring, and that's all, the rest of it comes out. This is one method. Narad Muni states that therefore one should always be prepared to go back to Godhead by engaging body, mind and words. By engaging body, mind and words. One should always prepare to go back to Godhead. Vritrasura prays to the Supreme Lord on the battlefield. Aham harer tava padeka mole dasanu dasa bhavitasmi bhuyaha. Manas mriter ashupater gunamste krinita va karma karotu kayaha. My Supreme Lord Hari, by taking shelter, undeviated shelter of your lotus feet alone, Padaika Mula, the very root, In the following way, how? Dasanudasa bhavitasmi bhuya, by becoming servant of the servant. Then what happens? Manas smriter ashupater gunamste. May my mind always remember your qualities. That is called filling our mind with thoughts of Krishna. By hearing Bhagavatam class daily, we can glorify Krishna. By remembering what we learnt in Bhagavatam class, or trying to remember what we learnt in Bhagavatam class, not even remember, trying to. Bhaktir muhu pravatam tvaime prasango. Your prasangas, Dhruva Maharaj says. Enanja sholbana muru vyasanam bhavabdim neshe bhavat guna katha amrita pana matta. Those who are completely intoxicated by hearing the glories of your pastimes, please give me their association so that I can fill my thoughts about you. Dhruva Maharaj is praying. So, Gangai voham udanvati tvaime ananya vishaya. Let there be no other vishaya. Sridhar Swami says the Vishaya will all be revealed by the grace of the God. So therefore, Kunti Maharani is praying. Not therefore, but they can be connected. Let there be no other Vishaya, Ananya Vishaya, Madir Matipate Sagrat, for my consciousness. Madur Matipate Sagrat, then what? Who knows? Ratim Udvahata Madha. Ratim means attachment. How? Gangai voham udanvati. Like a Ganges flows to the ocean. Of course, rivers flow into the mind. Apurya Mana Machala Pratishtam. That also we have to remember. In our mind, it is not the Ganges of devotion that flows. Although many devotees they bathed in the Ganges in Purushottamas, I heard. So the Ganges of devotion doesn't necessarily flow into everybody's mind. Those who are devotees, yes. So therefore, we should ensure that desires which are material, which manifest in the mind, should not disturb us. For that, we have to fill our mind with more and more thoughts of the Supreme Lord. And that comes by associating with Vaishnavas who will keep giving us thoughts of Krishna. When we are just about to forget Krishna, they will give us some experience where we can remember Krishna. And the topmost among the leader of such Vaishnavas is Sri Guru, our Diksha Guru, our Shiksha Guru. We should take their shelter, so that our mind is forever filled with thoughts about Krishna. So that the mind doesn't form desires which don't form future bodies or which don't come in current dreams. It's so dirty sometimes that we want to dream of something. Have you had this experience before ISKCON? That you want to dream of something or someone. The mind can be very dirty. People plan for dreams sometimes. It's like a free film show. So therefore, in order that these forms don't form due to time, place and circumstance and action that we see some things, we should constantly fill our thoughts with Krishna, so that in that particular situation, we can connect the thought to Krishna. Whatever comes in, we should somehow find a way to connect it to Krishna. I have quoted this particular point some 15 lectures and I'm quoting it again. I heard this from His Grace Jitamitra Prabhu. That in every circumstance, we should consciously try to see the hand of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. We should try to see the connection. Because Krishna is pure. He is Shuddham, Apapa Viddham. So by connecting to Him, that particular dirty thought can also become pure. It can become pure. Like Srila Prabhupada says, if a male is attached to a female form, he should immediately, when he sees that female, he should immediately pray, this is Krishna's gopi. This is Krishna's gopi. I know a senior godbrother of mine, who the moment some Mataji passes by, he says, Krishnarpanamastu. So before his mind goes hayward. And I'm sure Matajis have their own similar defenses, mechanisms. So this is very, very important to see everything in connection with Krishna and thus fill our thoughts with everything about Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We can have time for one question and then I would request His Grace Chitamitra Prabhu to speak. Who has a question? Yes, Anantasham Prabhu from Raipur, Dham. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for giving such a nice lecture.
Just a servant.
Prabhuji, I have one question that you have said that Tesham Sadati Uktaram Bhajtam Priti Purvakam. So, in this Priti Purvakam, we have to show Priti towards the Lord. So, in that, duplicity comes in between. So, how to remove that duplicity?
This is a beautiful question. If I understand your question correctly, you're saying that in 10:10, in chapter number 10, verse number 10, Krishna says that your bhajan should be performed in a priti purvakam, in a manner of priti, with affection towards me and in a pleasing manner. Now, sometimes while we are trying to do it also, there is some duplicitousness. So how do we overcome that? There are 2-3 ways of looking at it, from what I've heard from other Vaishnavas and from my limited understanding. One, the simple principle is fake it till you make it. It is not like we are chanting Hare Krishna mantra because we taste for the Hare Krishna mantra. It is not like we are honoring prasadam because we realize it is Krishna. It is not that we are offering Vancha Kalpataru because we think you are Vancha Kalpataru. When I offer obeisance to Vilas Padmanabha, it is not, oh, look at him, Vancha Kalpataru. No. So we are still doing the process. The process of sadhana bhakti in many ways is that to exercise the mind, to condition the mind. The mind is a prostitute. A prostitute is a very bad word. Right? So, we can understand how bad the mind can be. The mind in general. So, therefore, it is essential to condition the mind conditioning. To train the mind. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj talks about slapping him with slippers 100 times in the morning, and I don't know whether which is in the morning, which is at night, but hit it with a broom and hit it with a slipper. The number of times may vary, but do it. So, that is... If you're training the mind to do it, by default it is pretentious. It is a pretender. Preeti will not come when there is pretension. But we should keep doing it. Fake it till we make it. That's one. The second thing is, when we are performing devotion to Krishna, we don't get direct reciprocation all the time because of our conditioning. We don't know whether Krishna is pleased and whether we are doing it duplicitously. The problem with duplicitousness is that you don't know that you are duplicitous. If I am political, how will I know I am political? I will say, no, everything is fine with me. Nobody will say, I am a very duplicitous man. Then it is a very serious issue that he is so duplicitous that he is saying he is duplicitous even though he is not duplicitous. It is very complicated. So therefore we assume that when we are duplicitous, Krishna may not directly reveal it, but he reveals it through Vaishnavas and Guru. When we are duplicitous, they will tell, hey, Prabhu, don't do this too much. You're overdoing this. Ati Bhakti Chorer Lakshan, don't do this. They'll tell you. Then you know, okay, but how do I correct myself? Where do I do this process right? So we have seen people do Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's very good, Prabhu, but I am also chanting. So then it is like that, to make us conscious of what we are doing. Krishna conscious begins by being conscious. Srila Prabhupada said, first become conscious. So Vaishnavas will make us conscious. When we are performing services, we may make stupid mistakes. Vaishnavas may correct us. So correction, our body is an instrument for correction. We should accept that. Our body and our mind are instruments for correction, and they will come in any form. There is no rule that we will be corrected only by our seniors. Some of the people who have corrected me the most are people who have joined the movement after me and who are younger than me by sometimes even 20 years. They can teach us a lot of things. So, in essence, 3 things. By serving Vaishnavas, we can get corrected. By being open to correction, which is one top hallmark of humility. Humility means you're open to receiving feedback from others. Even if they are junior, senior, whatever. Being open to feedback, constantly being open to feedback, and by constantly associating with Vaishnavas who will keep reciprocating with us in service. And of course, the fact remains that we have to continue doing it no matter what. There was an Olympic gold medalist who said that I practiced when I wanted to practice, and I practiced when I didn't want to practice. We have to keep doing it whether we like it or not, because the mind is a non-devotee. The mind will not help you to advance in devotion. Therefore, we take the help of devotees to preach to the non-devotee. That way, Buddhi Yogam will also manifest. There could be more, but the time doesn't permit. I want to close with some remarks by His Grace Jitendra Prabhu.
हरे कृष्णा, धन्यवाद। तो आज का जो श्लोक है, तो इसमें नारद जी एक बड़ा अच्छा तर्क दे रहे हैं। राजा प्राचीन बरही का प्रश्न था कि किसी दूसरे स्थान में हमें शरीर प्राप्त हुआ था और वो कुछ कर्म किए थे, तो उसी स्थान में शरीर भी हमने छोड़ दिया, वो कर्म भी जो है मिट गए। अब इस स्थान में हमने दूसरा शरीर प्राप्त किया है, तो वो कर्म जो है अब कैसे हमें मिलते हैं, उनका फल क्यों मिलता है। तो उसी आधार पर नारद जी बतला रहे हैं कि जो सूक्ष्म शरीर है वो वही है, और सूक्ष्म शरीर में वो पिछले कर्म के जो संस्कार हैं वो बने हुए हैं। तो इसलिए वो बता रहे हैं कि एक बड़ा अच्छा एक जो है ये तर्क है कि पिछला जीवन हमारा है और पिछला शरीर हमारा था, पिछले शरीर के कुछ अनुभव थे। इस जीवन में हमें अगर कुछ दिखाई पड़ते हैं ऐसे दृश्य स्वप्न में, जो कि इस जीवन काल में हमने ना देखे हैं ना कभी सुने हैं, तो इसका मतलब है कि पिछले जीवन के वो रहे हैं, हमारे अनुभव रहे हैं, और वो हमारे सूक्ष्म मन में वो पड़े हुए हैं, तो उनका जो है वो संस्कार बना हुआ है। तो एक ये भी तर्क है, जो लोग नहीं मानते हैं पुनर्जन्म को, तो उनको हम जो है एक ये भी तर्क दे सकते हैं कि इस जीवन काल में कई बार स्वप्न में ऐसी घटनाएं, ऐसे दृश्य दिखाई पड़ते हैं। इस जीवन में आपने वो घटनाएं नहीं देखी, ना सुनी, ना वो दृश्य देखे, ना सुने, वो क्यों आते हैं? तो पिछले जीवन में आप ऐसी स्थितियों में गुजर चुके हैं। तो एक ये तर्क है जो कि हमें मतलब आभास देता है कि हाँ, हमारा पिछला जन्म था। तो ये एक तर्क है। हरे कृष्ण।
थैंक यू प्रभु। श्रील प्रभुपाद की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, निताय निताय गौर सीतनाथ प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल।